Welcome, everyone, to our daily devotional Spirit 23. It's a short devotional series from Trinity United Methodist Church in Seymour, Indiana. Glad you could join us today. Jesus said, "Where two or three people are gathered in my name, I will be there as well." Today we continue our devotions from Book 1 of The Chosen. And if you would like to leave a prayer request in the comments below, please do that. We have an amazing team of prayer warriors. Our devotion today is entitled Set Free, Part 2. She had heard the reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, "Even if I touch his garments, I will be made well." And immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. And Jesus, perceiving in himself that power had gone out of him, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my garments?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing around you, and yet you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling, and fell down before him, and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed from your disease." Mark 5:27-34. Our devotion today continues in the form of an interview with a reporter and the woman who is made well. Reporter: Woman with the issue of blood, your healing transpired under quite different circumstances. Tell us about your encounter with Jesus. For the record, I go by daughter now. Like daughter of Abraham, I was afflicted for a long time, 12 years. I'd been to numerous doctors, and no one can help me. I was desperate. Desperate enough to risk the crowd? Yes, I had to. It was the only way I could get to Jesus. I knew there was a good possibility of being recognized and severely punished. Being ceremonially unclean is not a casual offense, you know. I'd been banned from all human contact, but I had to try. And the reporter asked, "And there you are, being pushed around in a throng of people. Tell us about the moment, the touch that has captivated the hearts and imaginations of believers everywhere. Were you healed right then?" Yes, immediately. It felt as if his entire being, even his cloak, was saturated with God's miraculous power. The bleeding stopped. I could feel in my body that I was free from my suffering. I imagine you were hoping to slip back through the crowd undetected, but that's not what happened, is it? Not at all. Jesus turned around to the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" At first, I froze. I didn't know if he was angry or not, but he kept looking. I realized, of course, he knew it was me. He's Jesus. His cloak alone just healed me. So I came forward and fell at his feet. I'll ask you the same question I asked the daughter of Abraham. Were you fearful? The circumstances were certainly frightening. I was trembling when I told him the truth, but after a few moments, I wasn't fearful of him. His eyes were full of compassion. He could have kept going on his way, but he stopped to acknowledge me, not rebuke me. He listened and was sympathetic to my suffering. He said, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in faith and be freed from your suffering." The reporter asked, "How has your life changed since that day?" Well, obviously I'm physically healed, but my healing didn't eliminate my need for Jesus. It connected me to it. He set me free to pursue my life in Him, the very thing Satan tried to destroy me with. Jesus used to restore our relationship and make me whole in every way. I am chosen and set free. Our prayer focus today, that prayer you prayed from the previous devotion, keep going with it. Keep bringing your vices to God and ask Him to set you free from them. It's okay to be desperate. Our three questions today. What are you willing to risk to get to Jesus? Describe a time when you felt desperate to be in His presence. What did you do? How has Jesus restored the parts of your life that Satan has tried to use to destroy you? Thanks for watching today. And again, please leave a comment below if you have a prayer request. Our prayer team will pray on that and pray for you and what your prayer is for. Thanks for joining us today.